Hey guys, Tyler 2K here. Today we're going to take a look at the martial law trailer. This will be both a breakdown of the trailer as well as a supplement slash speculation inclusion. Since I eventually ran out of time while making this trailer, I had a storm had gone through, and now we're so far behind the curve that's probably a little bit too late to do like a full breakdown and do it individually. I figured I'll go ahead and put them together here. So yeah, this will be both once again breakdown as well as covering some things that we do know since this trailer had come out before the public test. Also, Namco had created a PDF of I believe like 9 characters with their not really true move list, but like a quick breakdown of heat engagers and mechanics and stuff like that and how they work. I'll go ahead, I'll supply that in the comments. So I will be referring to that. And then I was also trying to find someone's like on hands, because there's one move in particular that I don't really know too much about. I'm not like the premier law expert when it comes to his mechanics, so I will probably get something wrong in here, so fair warning. But other than that, yeah, he seems to be pretty straightforward, a mix of martial law and forest law. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, so new move, down forward 3-1. This move is a mid-high, quite like every other character who has said mechanic, down forward 3-1 or stand 3-1. Usually as a good rule of thumb, if the character does a left kick or a 3 and then follows up with an attack, like 90% of the time, the follow-up attack is a high. Whether it be a punch or a kick. So hands behind the back means it's high. Otherwise, a left kick into a follow-up attack almost certainly is a mid-high follow-up. So down 4-3-1, 3-4 with Law. You name it. Law actually does have, I think, a mid variation, but that's usually how the mechanic goes. Okay, so down 4-3-1 can actually transition into DSS. So we see the shimmy, and then he goes for a DSS 1. And then instead of going for a DSS 1 into like a 4, which like typically legend kick, he goes for a mix up to the DSS 1 with DSS 1 plus 2. So this is now his nunchuck attack. To the best of my knowledge, he might have same thing, like one exception there. But yeah, this is a DSS extension with 1 plus 2. And then depending on certain things, you can get a follow up here without heat. This is basically just a knockdown attack. With heat, as we'll see later, the nunchuck attacks are actually an instant spin launcher. So this is a weapon, so that means you can't punch parry it, you can't do special like sabakis against it. The only character who can parry it would be like Leroy and Jin. Of the cast that we know of thus far, they would be the only ones who can parry it because they have a special command parry. So Leroy's back to you works against everything in the game. Except for lasers. It does work on projectiles, but not lasers. But yeah, both him and Jin, like I said, can parry unique things, including weapons. Weapons are basically their own class, whereas a headbutt, elbow, shoulder don't count as punches or kicks. Same thing, a weapon is its own class. Okay, down 4-2. Okay, back to 1. We see the new animation here. As we had seen earlier with quite a few of these trailers, usually the spin option will be an uppercut attack. But in this case, if you look at how high the hit spark is, I wouldn't doubt it if it's still a mid-high. So back to 1, obviously with the new animation, but I think this is still hitting high. That means that Law back 2 with a follow-up is only a high-low mix-up. So that's all he gets there. So I'm pretty confident this is still a high. Okay, we see the really high arcing spin. Okay, Shaolin kick ender, ending with dragon cannon, so DSS 3. One thing of note, DSS is significantly easier to enter in T8. I believe all you have to do is just tap forward nowadays. So this combo would be 4-3, down 1 plus 2, forward 3. So no more like shimmy input where you like tap the controller backwards and forwards. This is just a straight kick now. The input is significantly easier. With that being said, there does seem to be some problems with Dragon Cannon. There we go. We also see the heat, the movement lines. But Dragon Cannon seems to be like lower hitting, or sorry, like slower hitting or something like that. I don't know. You have to watch it a different person's breakdown, but I remember seeing certain variations. Dragon Cannon doesn't seem to be nearly as consistent anymore. Okay, so we see, what is that? Forward 1+4, I believe. Martial Law has quite a few. They're not quite the same input, but like I said, he has his son's inputs, Forest Law. This forward 1+4 or 2+3, whatever it is, I think it's a 1+4, even though he's hitting with his right hand. I think the forward 2+3 is the run-up throw. Either one. Obviously here we see the red fire damage. That means that this is a chip hit. Also keep in mind that this is essentially a mid-chip hit, so there's really no way for Paul to rebut here, so he just is forced to take incoming on block for the initial hit. Okay, we see down 1, plus frame option. He goes for a shimmy on the full crouch, possibly showing that he could go for slidey. Goes for wall stand 4. DSS parry into DSS 1+2. So this is a special extension off of DSS parry. If you look at the PDF guide from Namco, they specifically talk about that situation. So that's parry 1+2, a new follow-up. Although I don't believe any. Yeah, it's just a knockdown state. No wall splat possible. Okay, whiff. Okay, so this move I have no clue what it is at all. Yeah, I honestly have no clue. I think they've already shown back 4, so it's definitely not back 4. Check your favorite law person to have done a breakdown of the the on-site alpha testing. But yeah, he now has some sort of step kick for wall splat into 4-4-2-3. This is probably like max damage for a not high splat variation. So like 4-3 Dragon Cannon, for instance. Instead, Law goes for a sidestep 2 series into the ender hit. And then this is the first video where we see the low slump flip over. So this seems to be a universal change, kind of telling you that the hit is a low slump instead. And now there is like significant pushback off of the wall. So maybe the wake up is better for the person getting hit. The flexed out Law. Okay, 4-4-2. Into Dragon, or sorry, Poison Arrow. So he did 4-4-2, 2 slide 1, presumably. And for people who don't know, 4-4-2 originally was basically a high mix-up. So 4-4-2-1 is a high. Otherwise, Law can do 4-4-2-3, which is a hit confirmable wall splat / knockdown attack. So 4-4-2-3, even though it is a high, is still -15, although it has a lot of pushback. Now, instead, he can cancel into a Poison Arrow, so aka a forward 2 slide 1, that is now a crumple stun launcher. Okay, so he pops the heat burst, of course, goes into bound, follows up with a double flippy, which is now a standing spin. I don't believe it had the spin properties in T7, maybe it does, but I know on low slump, up forward 4-3, the double flip does cause the flip over state at the wall for a lot of damage in Oki afterwards. Okay, so now we see 3+4, 4, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so basically they got rid of 3+4, 4 being an I-14 launcher. Instead, he goes for Legend Kick. Something of note is that while he doesn't get the launcher anymore, 2 things. Notice there's a good amount of like pushback, and the recovery speed of Law probably means he can follow up at the walls here. Second thing is that the Dragon Tail itself is active for like 1 million frames, it feels like. So this kick is active, I want to say, for at least 7 frames. So if you mistime the stand-up, you'll have to block it. And then what happens is then he's effectively plus frames. And then also, presuming they might have a little bit of bleed over with the Wall Crush edition from T7, you'll also get that as well. Okay, he does sidestep down back 3, which is now a knockdown stun. Important to note that it's just plus frames. This is not actually guaranteed. So you see how Paul is stuck in like a crouching state? This isn't like an animation where he's like literally stuck. No, this is Paul crouching. And then he eats the DSS option. I think that's forward 1, which is now heat engager. I would have to check the list. I didn't check actually on this one. And now he goes for heat smash, which same thing as usual. We don't know if this is truly guaranteed or not. From how often they do it, I'm inclined to believe it is, but I also at the same time, I think heat smash after heat engager is very terrible balancing. Okay, interrupting down 1 charge 2. We see Law go for a G-Clef basically, 1-1-1. That is now heat engager, which is a huge change. Although we don't know if he has 1-2-3. I would assume he still has 1-2-3. So 1-1-1 would only like give you open field pressure. So it's not a bad thing. But at the same time, at the wall or towards the wall, 1-2-3 is still probably more valuable. Okay, so there we see the DSS. Or sorry, not even DSS. Just straight up the nunchuck attack. Which, if I was to take a guess, might be like down back 2. I could see them getting rid of the elbow attack, instead adding this instead. As mentioned, the nunchuck attack, when you're in heat mode, is an instant spin. So the damage reduction is here, although because you're in heat, he is able to do a heat dash if he so wanted to do so. Okay, down 4-3-1. And then he goes for DSS forward 1 for push away. Also, as mentioned before, we don't see the animation there. But yeah, these type of push away hits, slide away, I call it, slide away animation, means that can be heat dash. So DSS forward 1 is a heat engager, and thereby can also be heat dashed. Okay, so we see the old Forest Law wall stand 3. This attack itself is actually up forward 3. So it's also nice to know because it's from an up forward input. Technically, he can perform this at a full crouch as well, via diagonal canceling. So he crushes the incoming back 4, and then because it's heat engager, he heat dash cancels while he's already in heat. Keep in mind, in order for him to do this, he is in heat already. So this is not a launcher unless he's in heat mode. So same thing, a lot of people still freak out about this. It's not that big a deal. Okay, follow up. Goes for the step kick. A little bit of small carry. Down 2-3, which is a spin option, and look at the height of that. That's definitely within power splat range, in case I haven't done the top right yet. Top right. Okay, forward 2, slide 1, poison arrow going downstairs. Follows up with a 4-4-2, 1-3. There you go. Finishing the combo super basic. Okay, and last and most not least, I suppose, forward 2 Dragon Hammer is obviously still a counter launcher. That's a nice addition and confirmation because Dragon Hammer is easily one of the best like pressing plus frame tools in the game. Not only is it plus frame on block, but Law can actually decide to either end in full standing or in full crouch. And full crouch is especially dangerous because he presumably still has access to wall stand for DSS hit confirming. Also, we see the purple spark here to signify this there was a counter hit. Of course, it's obviously a counter hit, but yeah, we do see the spark. And then finishing up with a Rage Art. Yeah, so that is Law. I think a lot of it's going to come down to if he still has like quite a few of his legacy attacks. So the addition of the nunchucks is like a big deal, of course, because as mentioned, you can't really punch parry or do normal sabakis against them, which means if you ever read the opponent wants to try to abuse like a reversal against you, yeah, you can just hit him with the nunchuck. Now, granted, you might not get like a knockdown or proper or whatever, a launcher or anything like that, but still, risk versus reward probably in Law's favor to keep pressure going. Overall, Law seems to be a good addition to maintain this animation is so dumb. The Enter the Dragon, I think it was, animation. Yeah, he'll be a good mix of aggression and just messing with your opponent's timing. So again, if he does have quite a few of his legacy attacks, he'll still be in a really good spot. It looks like Law will probably still play like Law, maintain his normal kind of strategy and ideas, but at the same time, enough spice mixed in there to really throw things around. So other than that, big nerf, of course, that I didn't talk about because they didn't show it, Magic 4 no longer being a launcher is a big deal, but when you have the G-Clef, heat engager, you probably presumably still have 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, so Magic 4 doesn't launch, but 4-3, aka Shaolin Kicks, is still a launcher. So it's not like he doesn't have anything, but he just definitely needs to take a little bit more risk, which is good. That's overall the MO of T8, so I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay, as usual, if you have questions, comments, concerns, hit me up in the comments here. YouTube, Reddit, Twitch, Twitter. Otherwise, I will check you guys out in the next video. Later on.